Oh, ladies and gentlemen, viewers of the Sami Parvez Show, good morning. Some of you it's morning, some of you it's hitting the afternoon. This is the Sami Parvez Show, the weekly show with Sami Parvez and me for the first time. So I wasn't here last week, Donovan Ekstrom. And of course, our illustrious third chair, Adam Smith. Good morning slash afternoon, everybody. How's everyone doing this fine Sunday?
Yeah, yeah, we are doing great and good to have you both. And
Yeah.
it's afternoon in Ontario.
Just turned afternoon, yes. And it's
Mhm,
that weird time where it's noon, what is considered afternoon, but that is correct. And it is a Grey Cup Sunday in
mhm.
this illustrious nation of ours called Canada, which is absolutely delightful. And I'm excited for it. Adam, are you excited? How are you doing this fine Sunday, Adam?
I am doing very well. This morning I felt very Canadian. Oh, hello, Sammy.
There we go.
I know what I did. Now,
It happens. It happens to the best of us, but there we go.
I have connected my laptop camera. At that time, my camera is in front of that laptop camera. Then now I'm connected to my cell phone. Like I put my cell phone in front of my laptop camera, so that's why I cannot see myself.
That happens. Oh, that's so fun.
That's great.
This is the magic of the Sami Parvez show right now. This is what the magic is all about.
The reappearing man.
Mhm. Anything can happen on the Sami Parvez show. This is what fun about us.
It is fun. I love having fun. We have
Hmm.
a lot. I sorry, Sammy, that I wasn't here last week. I was traveling, but now I am back. And Sammy, I'm going to offer something. It's something that we can think about in the future, but I think it would be kind of fun to go up to the Arctic Ocean with you and me. Something to consider once we hit 1,000 subscribers.
Hmm.
We can do it as 1,000 subscriber special.
Yeah.
Drive up to Tuktoyaktuk, Sammy and I, and we get to experience this sweet nation we call Canada. It's
Hmm.
something to consider. But
Yeah, it,
yes,
it would be great.
it would be. It would be.
I'd love to see that highway too.
The
From I
Dempster
believe it's
or
Inuvik, right?
well, there's the Dempster Highway. So yeah, there's the Canada Alaska Highway that starts in Dawson Creek, British Columbia, and makes its way all the way up to Alaska, Fairbanks, I think. But there's that one, and then there's the Dempster Highway, which is from just outside of Dawson City. Oh, beautiful, Sammy! Just from
There you
outside
go.
of Dawson City, that goes up to the Yukon Northwest Territories border, and then there's the next highway that goes from the border through Inuvik up to Tuktoyaktuk. You have to do a couple ferries, which is kind of fun. Though,
Yeah,
if yeah,
but
so
I believe the last stretch of highway from Inuvik to Tuktoyaktuk was like the first maintained road all the way to the Arctic Ocean. And that was only like what within the last 5, 10 years or so.
I think it was yeah, it's either like super like early 2000s, which is quite crazy. Well, it's the same thing with the Dempster
I think it
Highway.
was more recent than that.
It
Sorry
looks
to
like
cut you off.
no,
Here,
go ahead.
let me
No, no.
do a
We
I'll
have the
do a little
technology.
Google.
We have the
Yes.
technology.
Uh
Because it's
because
sort
I
of
think that
yeah.
would be so cool. Because I mean, to me, that's like the future of Canada in a way, is we're gonna start branching up north. And we've already made it to the Arctic Ocean. Okay, here we go. The 300 million Tuktoyaktuk Inuvik Highway opened in November 2017.
Oh, wow.
This provided all-season access to Inuvik, which connects the rest of the highway networks in Canada.
Fascinating. Oh, that's wonderful. So 2017. Crazy. Because I know that
Trudeau.
the oh, the I know that the Dempster Highway was done in like the 1980 or 1979. It's sort of crazy when you think about it because you almost expect all these roads to have been around for forever, or at least since like World War II. And then you realize, oh no, like some of them are like 50 years old or like 5 years old, 6 years old. Like that's crazy. That's a fun fact. You learn something new every day on the Sami Parvez show.
Thank you, Donovan.
That was me. Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries. My pleasure, Sammy.
Yeah, and you should not be apologizing for not appearing last week. I know, like, this was the very first time, as you promised you will never escape it. As I received last night Adam email, he also apologized for that. Like, he missed it, you know. So
But it
yeah,
kept
you are
going.
traveling. I know, like, you watched it, and thank you so much for the support you are giving to the Sami Parvez show, to myself, to running this show. We just hit over 500. Now we have over 600 subscriber. It was unexpected, but because of your support and those viewers, and those are just continuously watching our show, it is great, and we are looking forward more. We need to 8,000 subscriber, as Donovan said. We made to uh, architect.
Oh yeah, we'll go up to the Arctic. Yeah, 1,000 subscribers special. That might be pushing down the line, but once we start getting that money coming in, because Sammy, this is all about, this has got to keep it. But we're making some magic happen. And I
Yeah,
think that that's already, well, like if you really think about it, like the subscriber explosion's been quite remarkable too,
mm,
right? Like you had just hit 500 like a week and a half ago, and now you got an extra over 100.
yeah,
And so that's, you're making it happen. And it's because you kept the show going, Sammy. Even last week, it was you. You kept it float. You kept it going, and that's what it's about. It's that consistency.
It
And
was
that's
also a very good solo episode, Sammy. Very enjoyable. You did a great job keeping my interest throughout the whole
thank you so much,
stretch.
sir. It is all because of your guys, like the support I have, like, from two great friends, like brothers from the beautiful Grand Prairies.
and Edmonton. Alberta brothers,
Alberta.
Prairies.
the prairies. Yeah.
The
We'll get
prairies.
a guy from Saskatchewan to join in, and then he'll
Mhm.
join, and then it'll just be the prairies and Sammy. And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And let me just remind you, folks, my two predictions came true. It was just a magic, I would say. It was just a coincidence, I would say, but because, like, I know, like, my prediction is never come true in the past.
No, it's the tides are changing, Sammy. The tides are changing. You are making it happen. And yeah, you're going to become a soothsayer soon. And that's really exciting. But yes, your predictions came true. Winnipeg
Mhm.
win.
Yeah.
Sammy, you should look into getting a betting company sponsorship. They seem to sponsor a lot of podcasts.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I mean, we talk enough sports. I feel
Hmm.
like that could be an option.
I have no problem reading notes and being like, this episode of the Sammy Parvez show is sponsored by, and then put it in there. Like we are,
Yeah.
and
It,
that's
it,
fine. And
it
people
would be
love that.
great.
We can have fun little ad breaks. Something
Hmm.
to consider. But
That
no,
would
it's
be fun. Donovan, you have a little bit of experience creating some very nice ads.
I do. I can always make an ad. It's always fun to do.
Hmm.
Sammy, what do we have on the docket today?
Yeah, we have, like, a by-election was called in British Columbia.
Yeah, and we can assume that the liberals are going to lose.
Hmm.
They
Yeah,
were
I need to know, like, is Donovan going to run in this by-election?
probably not. But there we're trying to make some magic happen. I might still be a part of it in my own little special way. But my name will not be on the ballot. But as said, there might be some magic happening, a little bit of Rhino Party magic. But yes, the long ballot is not going to be focusing on that. The long ballot seems to be looking more towards Halifax. That seems to be for breaking news. If you're curious, that the long ballot committee might want to look towards Halifax versus um, Langley, British Columbia. Uh, which should be called pretty soon, actually, the Halifax one. But yes, no, I will be serving it. If I am going to be a part of that by-election, I'll be serving it in my own special way. So we'll find out about that. soon.
Sammy, I saw on the internet that the longest ballot committee sent you like a little commemorative gift of some sort.
Yeah, like that.
Oh, what's that,
Page.
Donovan? What do you have there?
Longest ballot
Oh,
It's
committee.
the long ballot pin. That's what
Yeah,
the
long
longest
ballot.
ballot pin is. It's a
and so
beautiful
is that
thing.
going to continuously come out for every longest ballot?
Well, they did a small one to commemorate Mississauga or like Winnipeg South Center. They did a really small, they did like a little pin. But this is a slightly bigger one to celebrate the even bigger ballot. Who knows? Maybe there'll be one that'll be like a like a clock or necklace.
Like a brooch.
Yeah. So, but no, it is yes, a little commemorative longest ballot pin sent out to supporters and those that were on the ballot. One of I think 200, which is quite thrilling.
Yep.
And they're pretty good quality. It's a really good quality pin. Good work, Kieran and Tomas.
Yeah, they are doing. But just to make it clear that longest ballot is not going to put more efforts on this BC by-election, right?
Yes, from unless they're doing it without my knowledge, which I've been pretty privy to what's been going on. I think the focus right now is more towards Halifax than it is the BC one.
Are they
Yeah.
trying just to defeat liberal safe seat?
I don't know. It's kind of maybe. But like to be fair, the Liberals are doing a good job on their own losing their seats. I don't think the long ballot's going to really do too much to change that.
Yeah.
When we look at this Langley one, I think the Liberal won at what like 3 points. Like it's not a really high percentage at the Liberal one out there in BC in 2021. So we can assume that they're going to lose. But Halifax is also more fun. The Maritimes, you know, we don't talk too much about the Maritimes. And I think that having that there would be good. And then it's also fair for those that get all, you know, persnickety when everybody's staying up late. When the ballots or when the polling station closes in Halifax, it'll be like in the afternoon for some of this country. So that'll be nice. People can wait. But yes, from what I'm aware of, unless there's a secret meeting happening and I'm not a part of it, which I should be, there will more than likely not be a long ballot in British Columbia. But there might be some rhino shenanigans. So keep your eyes on that. We'll see how it goes. There's, I think, 8 days left until the 8 days left until the candidates are confirmed. The deadline.
Finalized.
Yeah, the deadline. So, yeah.
It will be fun to watch.
Of
But
course.
the liberals are going to lose this one.
Oh, they're gonna lose all of them. Like all these by-elections, it's all bad. It is no good to be a liberal right now in this country. It's like they might lose like Toronto, which is nuts. Like there's no seat is safe for the liberals.
Yeah. But I don't know like what Trudeau is thinking to stay on just because of his ego.
I think that you sort of he hopes, and you're seeing it already actually, with a lot of their campaign material. You know, after Trump got in, they're sort of doing this targeting thing of like, oh, Trump's saying this, so therefore Pierre's going to say that, which is, you know, obviously nothing is I don't know, probably not. We can assume that you're not just going to sit down and take American policies if you're the conservative candidate, but I think he's hoping that that'll scare people to being like, oh yeah, I guess I should. But I think he's just so disliked. I think wasn't there like a poll that like he would lose a leadership race with the Liberals? I think
Yes.
if the Liberals were to hold a leadership race, like Freeland would probably win. Like it's bad. That's not an optimal scenario if you're old Justin Trudeau. Yeah, there comes a point where you should probably leave. He needs to take that walk that his dad did, you know, 40 years ago.
Yep.
But will he do it? Probably not.
Bring back Joe Clark.
Oh yes, Joe Clark. Joe Clark.
He's already replaced one Trudeau. Smooth. smooth transition for a year.
Yeah, only
So
85.
yeah, 85, 84.
Let's
Yeah.
see.
He's
Yeah,
85 years
85.
old.
Well, that's nothing. How old's Bernie?
For Bernie Sanders. I think he's 82.
Bernie is 83.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So Joe
what's
Clark could
stopping Joe Clark?
one more kick at the can. Prime Minister Joe Clark.
It's what we need.
It's what they need. It is what the Liberals need.
He is an independent since 2003.
Well, bring back the
Sammy,
old
you like
days.
independent candidates?
Yeah, I love independent candidate. We need more independent candidate. As you said, like you watch our last, yes, like last episode, and always I push for independent candidates. That's why I might be planning to run as an independent candidate for the next election against Mike Morris.
Oh, thrilling. It's not that hard too, Sammy. It's not too difficult to run.
Mhm.
Adam could be your official agent.
Thank you, sir.
It's and Adam
Adam, oh, thank you, Adam.
being an
Adam, do you
official
give
agent.
consent?
You don't need a lot to be an official agent. You just need to open a bank account. And then Sammy, try not to spend a whole lot of money. Because then that's
I
when it
don't
gets
know,
hard.
like who are going to donate to our campaign. Maybe those are supporter of independent candidates.
People believe. People believe.
Yeah, maybe we can make a change. Like this riding is a swing riding. Sometimes it is with NDP, liberals, and now Green.
You can
We
make some
could
magic.
we could uh change it to white independent candidate. I don't know, like what would be the color for the independent candidate?
Like it's gray.
Gray.
That's typically what it is gray. Not
Okay, so we can
I don't
change it
like
to
that.
don't like
I
gray.
don't like gray.
it's a
So we
bit
can do it
dour.
white. Is so no.
We need to think of a new color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we may need to do a poll.
How about plaid?
Right.
Yeah, now we're talking. Yes. And it can be all of the colors of the political parties.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It could be red, blue, green. It would be wonderful.
Like a nice, and you'd feel embraced. It'd be like a nice warm pair of pajamas. It'd be like, oh, that party or that candidate, I should say, makes me feel warm inside. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's who I'm stuffing the box for.
Yeah, and let's talk about Randy
Oh,
Buzold. What is his surname?
Bossino, Bossino,
Bossino. Yeah, Randy Bossino.
Randy
Is
Bobandy.
Yeah, Randy Bossino. First he said that he's not maybe he's an indigenous. He's not an indigenous. Maybe his grand ancestors or parents were indigenous. Now he said no. I'm a white. But he has a company with his friend, like took millions of taxpayer dollars. But now he's throwing his friend under the bus. So he is solely sole responsible for this all scandal just to survive.
That's politics, baby. I've mentioned it on the website formerly known as Twitter
Hmm.
multiple times, but when I was running, I ran in Edmonton Center, and I remember knocking on because you have to gather signatures. If you want to run as a candidate, you have to gather 100 signatures. And so I went and knocked on doors, and I ended up knocking on Randy Boissonneau's door, and then I did my spiel. I didn't quite recognize. He seemed familiar, but I didn't quite recognize him. So I sort of say, "Hey there, my name's Donovan Ekstrom. I'm looking to run in the upcoming federal election. I just need a couple of signatures to make it happen. Could I get yours?" And then he looked at me. He's like, "Do you know who I am?" With like a smile. And I was just like, "Are you the guy on that sign at the front of your house?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm Randy Boissino. I represent this area." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Do you want to sign this?" And he said, "Well, no, I can't. It's not allowed." And I was like, "Okay, well, you can still sign it. And then if it's not allowed, they won't count it, but you can sign it." And he's like, "No, no, 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 no. If I do, I might get in trouble. It's against the rules. If I'm a candidate, I can't sign it." And I said, "I don't think that's a rule. It says that you have to live in the riding. I've had former MPs signed my thing. When I was running up here for the first time in Grand Prairie in 2011, I actually had the Chris Warkington sign mine. And so I said that to him, and he's just like, I know the rules. It's okay. I'm not going to sign it. And I was like, oh, that ticked me off. And so since then, he's always left a bad taste in my mouth. And then this is, a prime example of someone that knows the rules with quotation marks, and then just doesn't really care, and he thinks he's above it. It's remarkable, like what it would take to get fired from a cabinet position. It's there's like 20 Randys involved with this right now, and there's probably going to be another 20. And he did kind of apologize. He said, I'm sorry, I'm actively learning about my heritage on the fly. It's like, oh, that's good. So you're not only are you just assuming things, but you're also not that's not really an apology for what's taking place here. Like you scammed money out of the government. Well, no, it wasn't me. It was it's like Randy's the victim here, guys. It's Randy's the victim. He's poor Randy. He just keeps getting caught up in all these situations. It's definitely not him. It's everybody else's fault. It's his business partner. It's his, oh, the Liberals were confused about my heritage. Oh, it's this, it's that, or the other thing. It's always someone else's fault when it comes to Randy. But don't worry, to quote Randy, he knows the rules. So he's a dork. Randy Boissonneau's a dork. I don't particularly care for him. He's about as slimy of a politician as you get. And I'm happy that this is happening to him. I won't lie. I'm getting a deep amount of Schadenfreude, just enjoying every day. They're reopening his ethics case. It's a delight. And I hope nothing but the worst for Randy.
Feeling quite Randy about Randy.
I am feeling very Randy about Randy. Oh, you bet. Yeah.
I need to understand there is no consequences these politicians would face when they break the rule, right? Particularly in Canada.
Well, so there's an ethics commissioner, but the ethics commissioner was appointed by Trudeau, and you're going to have the ethics commissioners. Why would you bite the hand that gave you a job, right? So I imagine that there's going to be probably like a slap on the wrist. He might, if he has any good conscience, he would step down. But I think that I think that most that they can fine is like in the tens of thousands, which he would just pay. Like he has enough. Well, he has that business and all that stuff. So I don't particularly see a lot coming from it. What's like like Trudeau's violated the ethics commission multiple times and he's still prime minister. So whatever they use for punishment isn't, you might have to apologize. It's kind of like that with the CRTC in Canada. If you swear on the air, or you just have to apologize and then it's all forgiven. So I imagine he would just have to say, I'm sorry for misleading people, and I'm going to work hard on it and have to take some classes. But yeah, there's nothing really punishable, which is a big problem. I think that's why you need to have an independent ethics commission appointed by people that aren't connected to the government instead of, government people. But yeah, I don't think anything's going to come from it.
Mm-hmm. So where the hell we are living in? Where the hell on earth we are living in?
Yeah, it kind of comes off as it's an ethics violation, Canada. It's it's sort of a banana republic-y, or it's like oligarchical. Like everybody's happy, the powers that be. No, and it would happen too with like a conservative. It happened too if the NDP were in power, because that's the problem, is that you're appointing these ethics commissioners are appointed by the prime minister. They do like a little thing, like a cross-party commission, like discussion, but ultimately the choice is from the prime minister who he appoints. So, and of course, yeah, nothing's really going to come from it, which is why I hope. Well, I don't think Randy's going to win his next election, anyways. The Liberals are going to get trounced. So, see how long he holds this for, but.
So if this happened in anywhere, any other world, but I think the minister would resign or he would got fired. But this does not happen in Canada. And like this guy, Maxime Bernier also was caught back in I think 2008 or 9 when he left the top secret document in his girlfriend apartment. Then he caught and he was forced to step down. But again, like he was put as a chair of a committee, and then he again was appointed for another ministerial department. Like these things all happened in Harper government too. I mean, Harper government was not a saint, you know. So Harper government was the first government in Canadian history was found contempt of parliament. I think they shut down the parliament at back in 2011, I believe.
Yeah, I think they did it just before the proroguing, and then that got
Yes.
into a little bit of a tiss. Yeah, but yeah, no, they when people sit down and say that, oh, it's just the liberals are the only ones that everybody's bad, nobody's good. That's why we need like a full. I said I would actually be fine if all the incumbents lost. I think that would be a delight.
Yes.
If and you can still vote for conservative parties if you're up here in Grand Prairie, but I think that like voting in Chris Warkington again for the millionth time isn't going to particularly help. I think you should look towards maybe the Maverick Party or the PPC, despite the fact that PPC is kind of like a limp fish. I think Mavericks have some things going here. I was just looking it up. So if the commissioner finds a public office holder has violated sections of the Ethics Act,
Mhm.
he or she may impose on the office holder a monetary penalty not exceeding $500.
What the hell?
That's on ourcommons.ca. So that's our government. So yes, it's a $500 fine if you violate ethics rules. And
Yeah,
that's it.
like that Greg Charles was caught like stealing campaign flyers, and then he was fined just $500 and set in the bank bencher. Like he's still getting taxpayers' money. What the hell is going on? Like
Yeah.
this is not the Canada where I want to live.
Yeah, I think you need to actually put an actual punishment in there, like, and then have people because it's like, yeah, why do we have laws? We have laws, why so that you don't get punished for breaking them. And it's like, why are there punishments for laws? Like, why? Like, this is wild. Only $500. That's crazy. It should be at least like 10 grand if you
No,
violate an ethics thing.
not just 10 grand, 10 grand lifetime ban on running for office. You know,
Yes,
yeah, and
good.
you are fired immediately. You are not going to sit in the chamber and get a taxpayers' money. We need these laws, and for bringing those laws, we need independent candidates to be elected in the House of Commons. Otherwise, we won't have them. Like back in 2020 when Canadians were getting laid off from work, and many small businesses were getting shut down due to COVID, and these folks were getting pay raise, and they were not saying anything. And when I think I remember I was working in laws at that time back in 2020, I was concerned that maybe this time today or tomorrow maybe laws would shut down. So, but we also got a $2 raise. Then suddenly they disappeared, and no one said anything. Even though Jagmeet Singh, who said he's he is working for workers. You are not working for the workers. You did not say anything. You got your raise on every April 1st since then, and you are making now I don't know like maybe millions of. And now he's more concerned about his lifetime golden pension.
Oh yeah. No, it's all scummy. None of it's good. None of I and yeah, you're right. Why would they have like they're in power. Why would they change this law to have an increased punishment? That's why you would need to have, oh, that's sort of the same thing. That's why the longest ballot committee's there, is that it is a conflict of interest. Why would you change the election laws and have the chance of losing your seat, right? And so there's no benefit to sticking around, right? There's no or to changing it. The benefit is only for heaven forbid the average Canadian gets a benefit, right? Heaven forbid that happens. And so yeah, it's irksome. That's crazy. $500. That's nuts. That needs to change, and like that should be the max punishment. You're right. That the max punishment should be that you have to step down from your seat. I think that you can have, if you have an independent ethics commissioner, let's say that you were just naive and you made a mistake, then yeah, you get your $500 fine. Don't do it again. Next time you do it, we're booting you out. Like there's ways that you can do it of being like, and that's why you have an investigation. Oh, you genuinely didn't know that that was bad. We're looking at it. We're looking at the text and stuff like that. Okay. You get one warning, pay this fine. Next time this happens again, you're done. And I think that would be a fair way of looking at it. But instead, we just have this running rampant. They closed Randy's ethics
Why?
briefly. They closed it and now they've reopened it again because obviously this dude is not on the up and up. But like, I don't know, like it probably would take killing someone for there to be an actual punishment in place. But keep on being shady with your money. It's fine.
Hmm. And how many times Trudeau broke the ethics law?
A
Twice.
couple
What?
times, yeah.
And that third time for the We charity, it just got cleared up because the or Bill Morneau took the responsibility. Bill Morneau saved him, at that time, if you remember.
Yeah, everybody kind of took the fall. Oh yeah, well, that's what we almost look at it like a mob style thing, right? Like mobster. The you got to take the fall for the Don. You can't have the
Hmm.
Don go to jail. You can't have the Donovan go to jail. You got to take the fall for the Don.
Hmm.
And that is unfortunately what we have in our government, which is that sucks. It sucks. It sucks so bad. It's awful. Like Adam, I'm so sad. The world is just awful.
Donovan, it's Grey Cup Sunday.
You're right. You're right. You know what? That gets me the boost I needed to watch the Nick Arbuckle throw 4 picks.
He's gonna turn some heads and earn himself a starting job.
You think it's going to be close? You think he's going to keep him in it? Well, I guess it's like the pressure, right? It's like, hey,
Toronto's
this is your
defense
yeah.
they forced 6 turnovers against Montreal last week. So I'm not writing anything off. I'm just sick of Winnipeg.
Yeah, which we'll get to. We'll get into that CFL stuff. Sammy, do we have any other political stuff to talk about?
Yeah, we have. If you would like to, we have Nova Scotia election, and we
Okay.
have new Trump administration. He picked those who are anti-Trudeau, who openly called out Trudeau, Justin Trudeau, and his government policies.
Yeah, I'll touch on the Nova Scotia thing really fast. Nova Scotia is it's the PCs are actually quite progressive out there. They're wanting to put in an increase to the minimum wage. They actually have a lot of progressive policies similar to kind of that of Peter Lougheed back in the 70s out here in Alberta. And people like that out there. Once again, people like it. I've often said it, I'll say it again, that people want 10,000 extra dollars in their pocket a year and then about 4 to 6 extra hours of the week to themselves. And the PCs are not doing anything. They're not going to try to pass any anti-trans legislation. They're just keeping nose to the grindstone. Hey, we're getting jobs back here. That's what we're focused on. We're not going to pass anti-trans legislation and then have people get upset and people being like, I just need money. I just want to get paid. We're going to focus on jobs, and that's paying off. Well, also it helps that the Liberals and NDP are kind of floundering out there. They're kind of both are in the middle of a restructuring, and so that'll be interesting. Honestly, what I'm looking for that Nova Scotia election is to see which of the parties get second, because that could be a shift in towards more of the two-party system that we're seeing across the country in provincial elections, because that's really ultimately where a lot of it is going towards. The days of having multiple parties in legislatures in the provinces is dead. You saw it. Alberta had there's the Alberta Liberals, the NDP. We ended up having at one point, I think, 4 parties or 5 parties in our legislature. But now it is 2 parties, NDP or um, NDP or
Liberal.
conservative. And I think that's where we're going to see it. And whichever party does well, you end up getting some tax breaks for for election ads. You get a little bit of a windfall for the next election. So that I'm really going to keep my eyes on who's going to get second, because I think that that'll determine a lot of things for Nova Scotia's political future. But yeah, I think that's sort of the way that that's looking there. I think the PCs are going to cruise to a pretty easy majority. They called it early. Things seem fine. People like them. There was apparently a debate, which I didn't watch, but everybody said that the conservative leader did well. So yeah, for Nova Scotia, that's probably the way it'll go. Conservative, and then keep your eyes on who gets second.
Yeah, but now I was reading a report which suggested Liberals and NDP are taking a PC for bringing more immigrant. You know, like I think keeping the population of that province double.
That's wild. That's so cool. That's so neat. I didn't know that. That's awesome. That the left parties are being like, you're too nice to immigrants. That's crazy. That's wild. That is such a cool. That is neat. I did not know that. I think that is fascinating. The dynamic of, like, Canada is this once proud bastion of immigration, and you're starting to see sort of a lot of people. It's lots of people were frustrated, being like, "Hey, this apartment, once you have, it's just how it works." And I've said it on this too, is that you can have the same immigration levels that we've been having. You just need to put them in spots that aren't one of three cities. And I'd imagine Halifax is experiencing that. They might be having too many folks. But if you were to look at maybe, hey, why not check out Cape Breton? Why not check out Churchill, Manitoba? Why not check out all of these different things? Oh, my name. I always like just having my single name, like Donovan, like the singer,
Okay,
but that's fine.
sorry.
I'll survive. No, it's okay. Um,
Adam added his last name, so I thought might be we all need to have our last name.
Adam Smith, Sami Parvez, and Donovan. It's fine. Last name's okay. But no, I think you can have huge immigration levels, but you need to sit down and look at which places need it and which places don't. And like when you just sort of keep going to one of four cities or five cities in this country, it's not too shocking that the economy too isn't really able to handle it. It's not able to handle the infrastructure. There's not enough apartments. But if you look at Churchill, Manitoba, there's certainly spots there. If you look at definitely rural Saskatchewan's needing a little influx of migrant stuff. And I'd mentioned too, during the Lebanese Civil War in the 70s, Alberta had one of the biggest influxes of hundreds of thousands of Lebanese migrants coming in. And but where did they go? They didn't go just to Edmonton. They went to Mayerthorpe. They went to Whitecourt. They went to all these different towns and instilled all these businesses. And I think that that's ultimately the way that we need to think about it. Right now, all these immigration plans just seem to, we'll just bring them in and hope for the best, which is insane, and then all of a sudden Canada's having a massive influx, and it's putting strain on a lot of these systems in different parts of the country. So that's why I think that, yeah, Canada could probably double its population in like a decade. But you can't just have them all. You can't just have everybody go to one of three cities. It's unsustainable. You have to have a plan in place. But you could see Yellowknife turning into like a huge bastion. And really, as Adam said at the start of the show, when we talk about the highways, what's the future of Canada? It is looking into that Arctic Circle and really establishing that, all those communities there. And I think having an influx of migrants there isn't a bad thing. But I think it's funny, though, that Nova Scotian, the Liberals and NDP are saying that there's too many immigrants. That's wild. And then the right-wing party's having to adjust it. That's neat. That's neat.
I think to add to your point, Donovan, it would be easier to assimilate these migrants into like Canadian customs, which would be like to the government's favor, if they were in smaller towns and not just clumped in the city where a lot of those structures have already been established. You could really create like tons and tons of like proud Canadians, instead of just more culturally focused places in city centers.
Yeah, I think, and it's not, you would have this interesting cloth of Canada. And that's sort of what's always been that way, right? Like, when you think back to huge migration patterns in Canada, World War One, World War II, sort of an influx of Eastern Europeans, a whole bunch of different folks. They sort of went out to these rural small areas. Oh, it's like my family history was broad. They went up on wagons up to Beaver Lodge, and then they established a lot of these things. And a lot of them didn't speak English, and they were going into these communities and trying to sort of figure it out. But they were, as television started to happen. I know that my dad's talked about, or my mom talked about her grandpa watching Stampede Wrestling and just getting invested in the Stu Hart and the bad guys and Abdullah the Butcher and all these things. And I think that's, you're right. And I think that it's not necessarily assimilation. I would say it's more of that. You would sit down and be like, I'm Canadian, but I do have my heritage. And that's sort of what the Lebanese have done a great job of sort of creating, like, we're going to gravitate towards these Canadian style businesses and really embrace that while also embracing their heritage. And I find that you're right. It's when you start to have everybody stick to one of three cities, there's no real need to look at beyond your street. And that becomes a sort of a hectic problem, as we're seeing with, some of these India, assassinations that are taking place. And then that starts to get, and that's what drives people a little bit, makes people upset. You don't want to have your country become the battleground for another country's fights, which is, kind of interesting. The shoe is now on the other foot for, Canada going to the Middle East. It's like, hey, wait a second, you can't have these conflicts here. That's not cool. It's like, oh, well, sometimes we've been doing that for quite a while. But now the shoe's on the other foot. You don't like it too much, do you? Which I think is also interesting. But yeah, no, I think, yeah, you got to look at the Arctic. You got to look at these communities that are struggling. Fairview, Alberta, if there's an influx there. And there has been, when there's a lot of Filipino workers that have come up there. They're keeping these businesses alive up there. And I think but there's people going back up because there's all these businesses that are happening and being like, oh, houses are cheap. Good. Like, that's kind of what we want. But yeah.
Mhm. Yep. And Trudeau attended APEC summit. Trudeau said that he was called just to share some ideas that how to deal with Trump administration. But Canadian press, when asked name which countries are asking this, but could not name a single country.
Well, it's good to go on a nice trip. We need to think about the real victim here, Sammy. And the real victim is Justin Trudeau. He's just so busy. He's flying. He's going to Peru. He's just, and we need to really stop and think about the real victim in this, Justin Trudeau. And I think we need to be sympathetic towards. Yeah, no, I think that's silly. He just decides to go on another trip, like just another. It's bonkers. And ultimately, what are you really getting out of this? Everybody, I don't know, the vibe I'm noticing about this Trump presidency is a lot different than 2016, because we ended up seeing there's a lot less doom and gloom in Canada that I'm noticing, though you still hear it. But I remember 2016 happening and the bricks were being crapped. Like, everyone was terrified because we didn't know what was going to happen. And he was promising all these things. But I find that Trump's bluster when we look at the actual action, it was far more contained, a lot more reasonable. And I think that, he promises a lot of things, then nothing really comes from it. I think that the fact is that Canada has a good relationship with the United States. We've always had it. Sure, there might be a handful of tariffs. We can assume that tariffs might happen again. But I think Canada's relatively braced for that, particularly as we focus on, the new enemy of China, right? And there's a connection between the two. And I've noticed that just sort of everybody's vibe has changed quite a bit. I think people are less scared. A lot of people are more like, yep, this is what it is. We'll go through it. Trump will do something silly. That's fine. We'll make it through it. we did it in 2016 to 2020. The country still survived. We will do it again. That's the way it goes ultimately, is that we will survive. We will do what we can.
Hmm. Yeah, like Trudeau also, I don't know like how much now would their trip to Bermuda US did for his friend
Funeral. Yeah.
funeral. Yeah, like he's just in his last um in his last time, like last minutes, or just he has now few months left. Like we don't know when the election would be called, but some folks are projecting it won't be called until October, but some are saying no, it could be called before Christmas or maybe early spring. But we don't know. Maybe it would be called anytime soon. Just
Yeah.
Trudeau is wasting here and there, just wasting taxpayers' money, just keeping himself busy and taking his children to the foreign trips, to uh, to giving them some experiences if they plan to run in the near future. I hope like Justin Trudeau and his father will be remembered before someone voting for his children if they would run.
Yeah. I don't know. It's all funky. He said he was going to pay for the cost of it. But like, I don't know how much a private jet would cost. I doubt that he's going to pay that. I'd be curious to see the actual amount that he's going to pay for that travel down to Peru or to the Bermuda or wherever. It was somewhere, but like, yeah, it's rough. It is the end times of a desperate politician trying to show his impact. Well, that's what, people talk about that too, of like, well, what's Justin Trudeau going to do after being the prime minister?
Mhm.
And this is the stuff that you do of connecting with other people around the world, being like, look at me, I've been doing this, I've been doing that. Please hire me, UN. Please, I would love to be a rapporteur for environmental change. Please, please, please look at all the work I'm doing. And I have a feeling that that's where a lot of it is too, sort of bolster up your political acumen and then cash it in when you inevitably get trounced in your upcoming election.
Mhm. And this Trump made a new department which is called Doge, like DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah.
So and in the response, conservative finance critics said, I think his name is Arjit. I don't know, not Arjit, but whatever that surname is saying. So he said that they are not going to make that department, but they would like reduce the spending on taxpayer dollar and completely shutting down this carbon tax and other things. They may do more on this and save taxpayer money, but will they will these conservative stop spending like liberal government? Pierre Pouliot is not going to travel here and there, just stay at his home. Like whenever he needs to travel around the country, he will use his vehicle rather than the private jet or the private aeroplane, what he has as a prime minister. No.
Uh, yeah, I think he's still going to do a lot of that. But I think that they'll do a lot of, I said you might have noticed that their CBC cut language has really stopped. Like that was really a big push that they did in the last 2 years, was we're going to defund fully the CBC, but they haven't mentioned that at all the last 6 months at the bare minimum. Like they're really avoiding that, which is why I think that they're going to cut it back. Like I see them just cutting back a lot of things similar to like, but they're not gonna, I don't think they're gonna outright eliminate things like what we're seeing in the States, where their plan is to eliminate like 300 different government departments, which is, it's going to be one of those moments where people aren't going to realize the importance of some things until it's gone. Um, but I see them cutting some stuff back. The spending will probably not be fully stopped. It's not going to be just sort of completely pulled away. Um, but No, you can tell that the language has shifted too. It's a lot more. We're going to axe the tax. That's really they're sticking to that. Axe the tax, bring back the jobs. We're going to build the houses, bring back the jobs. That's kind of what their whole mantra is. And I think that they're really hoping that by increasing Canada's actual GDP versus a sort of an immigration boosted GDP, that they'll be able to make more money, fund a little bit more, and then people will be like, look at that, get a couple budget surpluses in from more jobs being brought in, or being built, and houses being built and more infrastructure. I think that's what they're really hoping for, and then they won't have to cut things too much.
Mhm. Yeah, and do you think are they going to uh, completely shut down this DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion department?
Probably, but they'll probably sort of move people around. I don't imagine that it's sort of the way it goes with bureaucrats. They'll find another department for people to go into, or they might just change the name. That's another common thing that happens. So then
Hmm.
it'll sort of keep it alive and going, which is the way it goes. Like I said, they'll probably do a lot of things that are almost symbolic in nature, but really won't have much of an effect on the actual reality of things.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
As I today I was reading like National Post, there was a special contribution from Donna Gillens, and she like write about an interview with a former retired major. Her name is Barbara Crescage Mesonio. So she said that we don't need more DIIers. Canadian forces need to recruit warriors, not DEIers. And she also mentioned we need a government that is going to say wearing that flag on your sleeves is the most wonderful thing you can do, because the world's a really scary place right now.
Yeah, I highly doubt they're going to say no to people. I think that they're still going to have to recruit. Well, in general military unless you're like the United States and you devote $1 trillion to your military, a lot of people don't want to join the military, and I think you can't sit down and ignore the fact that there might be some people that are of DEI related folks that want to join. You can't sit down and say no to that. I imagine, as said, they might shift. What they'll probably do is shift it to having um, a lot more stringent, um, like bare minimums. Like, hey, this is what we need you to do. Where I think right now it's a little bit more wishy washy, but I doubt they're going to say no. If somebody wants to be like a radar operator, or somebody wants to do like something, and they're a trans individual, they're not going to sit down and be like, no. If you want to join the military, it's like that in the States. They'll accept anybody. They don't give a hoot. And I think that that'll probably be, that's why I don't think they're going to fully stop it. And I said, this is when we talk about like a lot of uh symbolic gestures. It's stuff like that where you're like, this nobody really cares about any of this. Like, and I highly doubt there's going to be a lot of change when Pierre Poilievre inevitably wins. I doubt that that's going to be on the top of his priority list to change, because nobody cares. The only people that really care about it are this very select few that are really loud on both sides, that think it's the end of the world. Most people do not care. I think it's like, what, yeah, that's sort of my take on it. You can still say all the bluster that you want, but I think when push comes to shove, Pierre Poilievre will have a lot more on his plate that he's going to focus on. That's going to be at the bottom of his list.
Adam is silent completely.
He's watching
But
football.
yeah, I'm watching a little bit of football.
Okay, sorry, Adam, to bug you.
No, don't apologize.
Okay, so but were you both surprised when Trump won?
Well, I said on the show that the reason why I picked Kamala to win was that it seems like Trump is going to win, and it seems like when the people are going to win tend to lose. It seemed like Hillary was going to win, Hillary lost. It seemed like Trump was going to win, Biden won. So I'm not really surprised. When you look at a campaign, Kamala's campaign wasn't particularly great. I posted it on the website formerly known as Twitter. I posted that her campaign was just so bland. Like, it's a bad campaign when what was the only thing you could remember from the last 2 weeks of the campaign? The only thing that I could remember from hers was Obama's speeches, and that is not good. If the only thing that is like sticking out in your mind is Barack Obama speaking, that is, you are in danger.
Mhm.
I said it on the show too that you can only go so far with good vibes, and you saw the boost, right? When she got in there, there was a really big uptick in her
Yeah.
polling numbers. People were excited. Somebody young, somebody new. They were kind of shooting on the hip. They were kind of throwing insults. Uh, Tim Walz was calling the Republicans a bunch of weirdos. It was kind of fun. But then ultimately, like, can you name me 3 policies that Kamala Harris was going to implement if she won, Sammy? Can you name me 3 policies? Like, but like with Trump, I can sit down and say deport illegal immigrants. I can say bring in tariffs, and I can sit down and say that we're going to do a restructuring of the government. Like there's 3 tangible things, and I think when push comes to shove, good vibes can only take you so far. People will sit down and vote for and that's why I was like, it feels like it's going to go Trump's way, but because of the last 2 elections, I was like, Kamala's probably going to sneak out a win, but that
Mhm.
is not the case. And I think that that was really a lot of it. You can sit down and, despite him, you might sit down and say that a lot of his stuff is crazy, bringing back the illegal aliens enemy act from 1789 to boot out migrants, but it's a tangible thing. And I think that with Kamala, I couldn't name you a policy that she would bring. Like I genuinely can't think of anything. It's sort of drawing a blank. Like I can't think of trade. I can't think of, like, it seemed like it was just all business as usual, and people are frustrated with Biden, and so you can't have that. You got to have something different. And I think that was her downfall.
Mhm. Yeah, and would you answer, Adam, the
Well, I
same?
don't know what Kamala, I was going to say. Trump said he was going to end the war in Ukraine and he was going to end the fighting in Palestine. Kamala, I don't know what she said. I don't remember. And I mean that's big. I mean, at least around here it's people are getting frustrated. They don't like seeing their money going overseas to fight wars that aren't relevant to North America. And Trump says, "Yeah, I'm just going to end it. It's going to be done. It's going to be over." That's all she really had to say. Is she could have started parroting what Trump was doing and just false promises, whatever. She could have just done something. And
Mhm.
he instead, my out of her entire campaign, and I thought she won the debate, but out of the entire campaign, the one thing I'll remember is her when Trump was talking about they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, and she went like this. She did this little kind of smug thing. And that's all I'll remember in 10, 15 years because it was such an irrelevant, boring campaign with no false promises, no false hope, no. And honestly, I thought Tim Walz was such a cool dude. If they would have just said, "Hey, Tim Walz, you're going to be running
Do
for
it.
president," and he would have been like, "Yeah, right on." He's just such a cool old nerd.
Mhm.
And he's kind of Mr. Military too. He's got so many different uh
Backgrounds.
backgrounds, right? It's just like instead we put in Kamala who and that's the thing too, is you could have made like a woman politician look really good on a big stage. Like she could have been like the queen basically, and instead you downplayed it. You just eh.
Yeah, that was also what I was going to say, is that they really, you could tell the Democrat insiders really muzzled the campaign, similar to Tim Walz. Like, he was coming out shooting from the hip, being like, these guys are weird. JD Vance screws couches. Like it was really much like you were like,
It
oh,
was funny.
this is funny. Like that, and that's ultimately like that's Trump's whole thing is that he's a funny guy. But then it was almost as soon as that happened, everything kind of pulled back. We have to run this campaign a certain way. We have to make sure that we're winning over this certain demographic. We don't want to bother these people. Like, it's bad when Dick Cheney says, I'm voting Kamala. Like, that's not good. You don't want Dick Cheney to be like, I'm voting for Kamala Harris. That's like, oh, good. The Bush era war criminal who who created like these fake war reasons to go to Iraq. That's the guy that's you're advocating for. You're trying to win over moderate Republicans. No, you should have some firm ground. Yeah, you're completely right, Adam, that like you got to have some say something and have some conviction. It's so, but they had none of it, and it was just so it was like a limp fish. And it said like, do you think about the last 2 weeks of a campaign? Trump was, wearing garbage and being a garbage man and working with like there's things that I'm going to remember from Trump's side. The last 2 weeks, I'm working at a McDonald's. Oh, Biden called us garbage. I'm going to be driving a garbage truck. I'm going to wear, and you're like, this is stuff that'll be in your mind. As said, Kamala's last 2 weeks, I remember Obama's speeches that were pretty good. That was it. So, and I think that's a clear sign too. The Democrats have a lot of soul searching to do. Like they're going to really need to change things, and really restructure, because you can't have this old guard. It doesn't work anymore. This isn't the Democrats of 2000, Al Gore and Obama. Like it's done. You need to really shift your thinking and have some principles, instead of trying to get this middle ground, which doesn't work.
I'll read a quote from Bernie Sanders. Just I'm on a Bernie kick, I guess, today. Even got the Weekend at Bernie's mustache and background. But Bernie Sanders said it should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party which has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned them. Boom. That's it. Trump talked to working class people. Kamala talked to nobody.
The elites
Yeah.
talking to those that are already, yeah, Dick Cheney's going to vote for you. Okay, what about the blue collar Bill from Philadelphia that's where, trying to balance his budget and can barely, afford rent? And I think that's ultimately Trump was talking with the working class. He's like, I'm going to protect your jobs. I'm going to bring in these tariffs and we're going to sit down. We're going to protect steel jobs. And you're like, yeah, that's great. Like, despite the fact that tariffs don't work, as we saw in 2016 to 2020, in fact, the trade deficit grew, which means that America was importing more and exporting less. And there was actually less jobs being made between 2016 and 2020. But you're still saying it and people will buy it. Like you have some semblance of, and yeah, there's a logic to it, right? We're protecting your jobs by making sure that the only steel that's being produced and being used in the United States is American stuff. But no, it's no good. And that's Bernie got it. When you're not talking to the working class, they're gonna throw you to the wayside.
Mhm. Yep. And do you think Joe Biden is more happy that Trump won than Harris, right?
Have you been seeing his like interviews? He's like has like a pep to his step. He's like talking clearly. It's like it is so funny seeing how he's acting just after the Trump victory, being like, yeah, then he's doing his little old timey thing. Like I said, Joe Biden was really good at talking to working class people, and that's what won him in 2020. Like he just had a very clear vision on things. What great anecdotes, funny anecdotes. He's a funny guy, and personable, and people like that. And you would go talk to the union workers and the union people. Well, you saw the Teamsters union didn't vote for. They said go for towards Trump, not Kamala. And you're like that. You're not going to do well when the union guys aren't on your side. And so yeah, like I think Biden is just a big I told you so. Screw you, Democrats. This is hilarious. And I like to think that he was just playing up his dementia. He's actually just completely fine, just having a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, and he was kicked out by Obama, Pelosi, Schumer like back in 2015. Then now in 2024, then they brought again Trump. These
Yeah.
are the folks you need to blame, like
Yeah,
Obama and Schumer.
get rid of those elites if you're the Democrats and really move away from them. But all right, Sammy, I only have a little bit more time,
Yeah.
but let's talk CFL very
Yes.
fast. You think the Blue Bombers are a happy CFL Sunday to those? If you're not subscribed to the Sami Parvez Show, make sure you click that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications so you can always find out when these streams are happening. We did an early Sunday stream. I kind of like it. I kind of like it this morning. Maybe this will be the way that we go. A nice little noon. People can have their lunch over in Toronto. People can have their breakfast out here out east or out west, and people can just relax. And so yeah, make sure you subscribe though, because who knows, we might do a show at midnight. I don't know. But yes, and yes, when it comes to CFL Sunday, it is you're right, Adam, that Toronto has a heck of a defense. Of Winnipeg, Winnipeg is starting to turn into like the New York Yankees of the CFL. You know, they're just winning, and it's irritating. But I think that they've got one more in them. I think that they'll do it. I think that Nick Arbuckle is going to throw 6 picks, and he will not make it.
Score prediction?
Score prediction. I think it'll be 28-15. Winnipeg. I don't think it's going to be a high score.
32-31 Toronto, decided by a rouge.
Rouge. Now
Wow.
we're talking. That is the most Canadian way. Yes, that is perfect. I like that. 32-31 on a rouge. Oh, people would be throwing up. It would be beautiful. That's what do you think, Sammy? What's your score prediction?
I think 28-24. I'm favoring Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Ooh. 28-24. There we go. So only one on the Argo train. I think it'll be, as I said, I think it'll be a bit lopsided, as was my gut feeling. But my gut feeling was wrong. Well, actually, my gut feeling's been pretty good. I just sort of went against my gut feeling the last time. But Adam, what are you going to say?
If Arbuckle doesn't win most outstanding player, I am going with Brady Oliveira of the Blue Bombers. I think that's just a shoe-in.
Yeah.
But I'm also I'm not frustrated because I mean, for many years as an Elks fan, we were at the feet of Bo Levi Mitchell, but he probably should have won most outstanding player this season based on the year he had. But CFL voters are unique. They're a fickle bunch. And when you don't make the playoffs, it makes a difference.
That is the case. All right, Sammy, I'm going to have to call it. Great show. Well done. I like the early morning stuff. I just have like an errand I have to run, but I like it. I like this.
Yeah, I think we need to settle this time.
That's fine. Let's do it. Let's lock it in. Let's do a couple early morning ones. We'll see what the metrics say, but that's nice. I like it.
Yep.
Well, take care, Sammy, Adam. Au revoir.
Yeah, see you, Donovan. I'm gonna hit the road too, Sammy.
Yeah, it's time. You can call it.
Yes, cheer hard tonight.
Yes, as loud as you
for
can.
Toronto. I can't believe I'm saying it, but you got to cheer for Nick Arbuckle, the underdog. Next year, it's going to be Edmonton and Ottawa.
Edmonton and Ottawa.
Yeah. Okay. See you guys.
Okay, see you guys. Have a good one. Bye. And please make sure to subscribe to the Sami Parvez Show and share it and like it. If you can donate, you can donate. You can join or you can send via Interactive Transfer to samiparvez@gmail.com. And thank you very much for watching. And thank you, Adam and Donald, for joining me from Alberta.
Thank you, Sammy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye.